In this lesson, we're going to be talking about the volume of cylinders and spheres and how to find those. So when finding the volume of a cylinder, you guessed it, we're going to be using that same formula, volume equals AH. The volume of a sphere, however, just as surface area, you just need a formula, and we'll get to that later. Just remember, it has to have a continuous cross-section in order to use the formula volume equals AH, just like this Pringles can. So for our first example, we're going to be looking at this cylinder with a radius of 8 millimeters and the height of 12 millimeters. We need to find the volume of the cylinder, correct to 2 decimal places. And just like the Pringles can, we've just knocked it over. And you can see that if you were to cut this anywhere, you'll always have a circle when you're going this way. If you go the other way, you're going to have different shapes all the time. So that's why we definitely don't cut that way. That's not a cross-sectional area. So we're going to have the area of this circle, and we're just going to times it by the height of the cylinder. So once again, volume equals AH, where the area is pi r squared because it's a circle, and the h is just the length of the cylinder. So we're just going to sub in the values that we know. So the r, being the radius, is 8, and h is 12. And when we type that into our calculator, we get 2,412.7431, and it goes on. But to 2 decimal places, it's approximately 2,412.74 millimeters cubed. Okay, now jumping back to our first lesson in this topic, we're talking about annulus. And now we need to find the volume of an annulus prism. So if you consider a DVD, the diameter of a DVD is 12 centimeters. And the diameter of the hole in its center is 1.5 centimeters. Now we need to find the volume in cubic centimeters, correct to 2 decimal places, given that the DVD is 0.12 centimeters thick. Just go and measure it. So once again, the volume equals AH, but the area is we're going to need the annulus formula, which is pi times big R squared minus little r squared, and then we just have to times it by h because it's the volume. So we're told that the large diameter is 12 centimeters, so we need to halve it, and it's going to be 6. And then the small diameter is 1.5. Halving it again is 0.75. And we know the thickness, which is the height of this annulus, which is the DVD. So when we substitute those values in, we type it into the calculator, and we get 13.3596. And to 2 decimal places, that's approximately 13.36 cubic centimeters. Now, when we're talking about the volume of a sphere, there's only one formula that's really necessary to know, and that is this one, that the volume is 4/3 times pi r cubed. Now, the way I like to remember this one is there's a 3 to the power of 3 instead of squared because it's volume, and you normally write the units with a cube in there. And if you remember the surface area of a sphere, it's 4 pi r squared. And so the difference here is this, that there's a 3 under the 4, and of course the 3 there. So if you remember the 3 that goes here, and then the 3 goes under there. So that's the formula for the volume of a sphere, and the volume of a hemisphere is literally half of that. So you just times it by a half. Or you can divide it by 2, it's the same. And that will give you the volume of this hemisphere. So we're going to put that into practice with this example. We need to find the volume of these solids, correct to 1 decimal place. So for A, we need the formula volume equals 4/3 times pi r cubed. And we know that the radius is 7. So we're going to sub that into our r here and swap it out, and we're going to have 4/3 times pi times 7 cubed. And when you type that into your calculator, you get 1,436.755, and to 1 decimal place, that's approximately 1,436.8 cubic meters. For part B, we need to find the volume of this hemisphere, but we've been given the diameter, so we need to halve that to get the radius. So remember, the formula is half of the volume of a sphere, which is half times 4 on 3 times pi r cubed. And when we substitute the values in, which is just the radius, we need to remember we need to do half of 3.5, which is 1.75. When we type that into your calculator, you get 11.2246. And it goes on, but to one decimal place, it's 11.2 cubic meters. And that brings us to the end of finding the volume of a sphere, hemisphere, and a cylinder. And in our next lesson, we're going to be talking about finding the volume of cones and pyramids.